When it comes to living life, there's a lot to overthink, but I don't ever have to overthink my water. I've been drinking Smart Water for years and truly love its pure, crisp taste. It's vapor distilled through a process inspired by clouds. I love chic branding, and Smart Water's sleek bottle shape makes it the perfect accessory for any day bag, workout tote, or backpack. Smart Water is the smart way to hydrate no matter what you have going on in your life. Life is full of choices. Smart Water is a simple one. Visit drinksmartwater.com to learn more. As a CEO and fashion authority, I know it's the details that truly matter. And when it comes to luxury, every stitch must be perfectly tailored. At Genesis, they've delivered on every element of the GV80. Two-line LED headlamps accentuate an exterior that exudes athletic elegance. Inside, discover an expansive cabin with ambient lighting. Take a close look at the Genesis GV80 and you'll see luxe is in the details. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Zoe, and you're listening to Climbing in Heels. This show is all about celebrating the most extraordinary superwomen who will be sharing their incredible journeys to the top, all while staying glamorous. Today, I'm speaking with a longtime friend and well-known jewelry designer I am quite certain you've all heard of, Jennifer Fisher. Together, we talk about how Jennifer's career began and when she transitioned from styling to jewelry designer, and of course, how it started with the birth of her firstborn child. Jen also works with her husband, and we definitely have a ton in common, both all the highs, all the lows, all the in-betweens, but I think it's pretty clear she's had quite a journey. I can't wait for you to hear this interview, and I hope you love this episode as much as I do. All right. So we know each other for what feels like 100 years through this crazy industry. And when we launched our businesses almost like the same time at doing different things, but like really we've been on a very similar trajectory in terms of like timing. Your husband is your partner. Like it's pretty wild. Your brand is really incredibly strong. And after, I think, 20 years since you've launched it, right? About more or less?
I just dropped my son in college, so
It's
he's 18.
wild. And I have babies. I have a
That's
9-year-old.
all. I remember I think I messaged you or I said something about I saw you with your boys and I was like, God, just don't blink because you're gonna miss it. It goes by so fast.
Which is
Like
why I don't miss
I
anything.
literally like don't miss anything. Like be at as many things as you can be at because literally you before you know it, it's like you raise them. You literally one weekend, Rachel, drop them off
I know.
and that's it.
It's wild. It's
It's
wild.
weird. Like a proof of life, like I have this funny group text with his roommates'
Yeah.
moms,
Yeah.
really cool. So we're like, oh my God, we have a photo of them. They're okay. Because they're pledging a fraternity too right now. So it's like literally like
Which, by the way, that's the most scary thing ever because I've been through that with like my friend's kids and my nephew. And I said, I'm going to Michigan and pulling him out of there. I was like, there's no way. Where are your
my
kids
son's
at school?
my son's at Wisconsin and I
Amazing.
I got a call from him this morning and he like sounded kind of distressed and it's like early in the morning. And I'm like, are you okay? Did you get to go home last night? Then I got a call saying, Mom, I need disposable clothes. I'm like, what do you mean disposable clothes? He's like,
Don't do it.
I like, what are we doing to you?
Well, right
It's
now I'm in
literally
the phase where my boys say that they're going to UCLA or USC because they don't want to be more
that's
than
where I went.
15 minutes from me. So
That's nice.
that's going to change, obviously. And then you have my husband that goes, no, they have to leave the state. They have to leave. They have to leave.
Well,
So
you'll get to a point where you kind of are like, they're gonna do what they're gonna do. My daughter is a junior, and so she's just starting going like at school in New York, she's just starting to go through seeing colleges and doing sort of the meet and greets. And it's great because she didn't want to talk about it. And then now she's suddenly like, okay, I know that one school is not for me.
sure,
I know I want a bigger school.
sure.
And you'll see as I mean, you there's still so little, Rachel. You still have so much time.
Yeah, but I'm entering the brutal phase now. I'm entering the middle school, and that is terrifying because I
Well,
have
what I say
such
to
sweet kids, and I'm just terrified.
this is the same advice I give to every mom who's going into middle school. It's really more about making sure that your kids,
They're
and
not
you
on
look like you're
drugs,
an amazing parent. No, it's dealing with other kids who are not parented in the same
right?
way or
No,
disciplined
it's
in
true.
the same way that children
It's
are.
true.
So it's really about just making sure your kids are sort of, they're talking about whatever happens. And if something happens, you kind of just help them through, because they still need help at their age.
I
Still,
actually think they need more. It's
Yeah,
different.
so it's kids are tough and they're so mean, and you have to just deal with those other kids that are, like, probably sad inside, and it's
Yeah,
like,
of
so that's
course.
like, try to teach your kids to be empathetic to other kids that might be giving them a hard time because you don't know what's going on at their house, like, all of that,
100%. Well,
anyways.
that's like our life conversation. So here's the
Yeah.
thing. I first need to go back a second because everyone, like, I can't go on Instagram without seeing one of the most famous people in the world wearing your jewelry. It's wild. And I think that you need to know that. And I'm going to go back because I don't want to start there, but I want to start there only to say that, like, in one of the most saturated parts of the fashion industry, right? I would argue to say, you started a long time ago. You started before, social media was launching brands left, right, and center. You had gone to, which I didn't know, a lot of personal stuff, right? I mean, really a lot of personal stuff, which I really didn't know because you've always been this kind of light, loud force. And when I say loud, I mean that as a compliment. Just you're not a wallflower, you're not that person. And I think, like, for me, you've always been this, like, big energy, big brand, like, say whatever you mean what you say kind of person, And I think listen, there are some incredible women in our industry like that, right? That just say it, do it,
Mhm.
fearless. But I think that you starting this brand in a time that it wasn't a thing necessarily.
It
Um,
wasn't.
but I first want to just talk about a little bit. So, are you New Yorker through and through? Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Montecito. I grew up
Oh
in Santa
my!
Barbara,
Wait,
California.
you grew up in, like, the dream. That's my
Yeah,
end
I grew up
goal.
in, like, real Montecito, like, before, like, it turned into, like, what it is
Well,
now, like,
before it turned
Miramar.
into East Hampton.
Exactly. The Miramar was, like, our beach club that,
Yeah,
like, there was a hot dog cart and a pool, and we would
right.
put pennies on the train track, and it was like you're almost getting hit by the train, like,
Almost like Coney Island.
totally, like, it was a completely unsupervised beach childhood. My grandfather was actually a polo player, though, up in Santa Barbara,
Oh
and so my
wow!
father even grew up there. My father went to Montecito Union, like, we were, like, OG original Montecito people. Yeah, I started there, and I went to USC. I studied business marketing at USC.
Wow! Before it
Uh,
was cool.
yeah, totally. I mean, that's why I credit a lot of, like, the brands, to where we are today. At the end of the day, I'm a marketer. At the
Yeah,
end of the day, I'm a businesswoman.
yeah, yeah.
I thought I wanted to be the publisher of Vogue magazine at one point. I had Vogue plastered on my wall when I was younger, and I thought that I always wanted to work in fashion, but I wasn't really sure in where. And it was
By
little
the
and
way, not to interrupt you, I had the exact same thing. I actually thought I was going to be a psychiatrist for children, but yet I had Vogue all over my walls. So, like, none of it made sense because I was like, I looked at Vogue, but I was like, yeah, I can't do that. I can't
right,
work in
like, who
that.
does it?
That was like
Like,
a foreign.
I know, isn't that
Yeah,
funny?
yeah,
Like, and that's it's almost closer than you imagine that it is. Like, you
yes.
can you can get there. But I got an internship when I was at USC, and I was on the bad side of it was LA Style. Remember LA
Yeah,
Style?
yeah, me too.
And I watched the clothing racks go by, and I was like, I'm on the wrong side. And then I got another internship at Detour working for Jean Yang. Jean Yang was my first boss. When I became a stylist.
Wow.
So I worked with Jean,
Who,
and
by the
at
way,
Detour,
still crushing it.
she's the best. She's honestly, I love her. She's so major.
I
I
did
love her so
not
much.
know that. Wow.
Yes, and we were
For
friends.
listeners, Jean Yang is like a major, major, major stylist still, who was like
Major.
one of the only
Nanu.
stylists when I was starting out. Honestly, like, she was always really cool to me. The rest were
She's
really mean to
always
me.
was cool, and she was so beautiful and so cool, and, we're still friends. I love her so much, and, so I after I did that with her, I kinda realized that celebrity wasn't really for me in
Hmm.
terms of styling.
Hmm.
Me, I was like, "Listen, I can make more money in commercials," and
Yeah.
so I was like, "How can I do this?" So I became a commercial
Uh
stylist,
huh.
and I had, like, teams of boys and girls and assistants all over the city. I was doing, like, Amex and Bud Light, and I did that for 10 years.
Hmm.
I worked for Aaron Spelling for a little bit. I was
Yeah.
one of the assistant costume designers on Sunset Beach. Remember that?
Yes. Oh my God, I'm dead. Okay. Dying right now.
Yeah, I dated Matt LeBlanc. Like, I mean, I'm like the craziest stories. We like see each other at the commissary at NBC, and like he literally one day like followed me out of NBC on his motorcycle and pulled me over on Ventura Boulevard and asked me out for sushi. I swear to God, it's a true story.
I'm dead right now. Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Dead.
Yeah. Yeah, I dated Joey. My claim to fame. Yeah. So, anyways, but I ended up in New York because I met my husband Kevin. I actually, it's so funny. There's this guy Tim who was like the hot lifeguard on the Aaron Spelling show, and we were really good friends. We were not romantically involved, and he's like, "Hey, I got an apartment in New York on Lexington. Let's go for the weekend. I'm going to go see this girl I'm dating." And so I went with him, and I met Kevin at a bar because he was the cousin of one of my best friends, and Kevin is now my husband. And long story short, 22 years later, he now runs my brand. We live in New York, had both my kids in New York City after, but I got diagnosed with my desmoid tumor too. I don't know if
I
you want
did
to talk.
not know about that. Do you
Yeah,
talk about that a lot? And
totally.
I
Yeah.
didn't know this. This is really
A lot of
interesting.
people don't.
And they told you not to have kids.
They told me not to have kids because my tumor grows from estrogen. It's a weird soft tissue sarcoma that grows from estrogen, and it grew. They think it's from scar tissue from my breast implants because I went in under my armpits to put
Uh-huh.
them in.
Uh-huh.
And it's like a keloid scar that goes crazy and turns into a tumor. And it was like, it's like one in like 500,000 people get these types of tumors. And a
Obviously.
lot of women
Of
get them in
course.
their uteruses after having kids. It's like a scar tissue tumor. So at the time, they didn't really know what these were. They thought it was breast cancer because it's literally right next to
Right.
my, on my chest wall. So I went to a breast cancer specialist here in LA. I actually found it in New York, flew here to go to the breast cancer specialist because Kevin's father was a doctor and was like, you got to get in to get to
Yeah.
LA and see my friends. And
Yeah.
breast cancer doctor was like, it's not breast cancer. So it's very rare. He cut into it. He shouldn't have. It's a very rare tumor. I ended up at UCLA and they're like, let's try chemotherapy. It works sometimes. So I tried chemo. I went through 12 rounds of high dose methotrexate chemotherapy at Cedars-Sinai and at St. Vincent's in New York when I was 33, 30, no, 30.
That
Yeah.
is
30, excuse me.
wild.
Pain was when I was 33. Yeah. Wild, but it worked and it shrunk it. And when I wanted to have kids, Kevin and I wanted to have children. My oncologist was like, no, you can't. You cannot carry a baby. You have to get a surrogate. And at the time, it was illegal in the state of New York to have a surrogate carry for you, but it was legal in New Jersey, Vermont, Florida, and California. And Kevin grew up in Brentwood. So we're like, let's just do it in California because we'll just have the baby with the grandparents. It'll be perfect timing. And at the time, like I don't know what the process exactly is now, but I don't think it's as tough, but it was really hard and it was time consuming. You're building
Yeah.
photo albums of your life together
Sure.
and so we found an amazing surrogate, went through IVF here with Dr. Suri in LA and did the
Wow.
whole transfer. And first time she got pregnant, 12 weeks miscarried. Second time we did it again, 16 weeks. We saw a heartbeat. We knew it was a boy. We named him Luke. And then I went to Sacramento to go to her, just like a routine checkup, and there was no heartbeat. So we had to go through the DNC. I was like alone in Sacramento and like horrible. And then she quit. And then I came back to New York, went through IVF on my own, got no eggs. And they're like, something's wrong. You need to adopt. And that's when I got pregnant with Shane, my son. Yeah.
Miracle baby.
I know. He's my total miracle baby. Yeah. And so it was a high risk pregnancy, but it wasn't. It was totally fine. I had Shane. And when he was born, people started to give me little trinkets and gifts like necklaces to represent him. And I was like, I'm not going to wear this. It's not like
Right.
my,
It's not cute.
no, this is not. I'm like, I want a heavy gold chain. I want the dog tag. I want his full name. So it's meaningful because took me forever to have.
I see you, friend.
And that's how it started. So I started selling. Honestly, Rachel, I would wear it on set when I was a stylist. And it was this instant conversation piece. And everyone, like the grips and the gaffers and all the
Right.
guys would come to me and say, what does that say? And I would say, it's my son, Shane. And then everyone automatically, oh my God, my wife would want one. My sister would want one. Can you make a different shape? And I literally started selling customizable fine jewelry. Like back in the day before anyone was really doing it online. I started a
Babe, you
website.
gave me one of my very most favorite bracelets that literally sits in my jewelry box and I throw it on all the time. Like
It's a little layering bag.
it's the R plus R equals S plus
Yeah,
K.
you
And
the
it's
equation. Yeah,
diamonds. It's the
you were doing
best.
equations before anyone. Like it was like back in the day.
Well,
Yeah,
but I really understand what you mean because when I had my son, very opposite story, which is I kept going, I'll get pregnant next year. I'll get pregnant next year. I'll get pregnant next year. And then I was like, God only knows. And all of a sudden I got pregnant and didn't even know it. And I was 9 weeks pregnant, didn't even know it.
what?
And had Sky whole life turned upside down. Even when I went on the tour of Cedars, I looked at Roger like 3 weeks before I was due. I finally like went on the tour and I go, I'm not doing this. I can't do this. I can't. He goes, well, do you want to get a C-section? I'm like, I can't do it. I'm terrified. Like
You
everything
see?
about me, I was terrified of being a mom. I was terrified of pushing a human out of my body. I was terrified to get cut open and take a human out of my body. The whole thing was so terrifying and otherworldly, but yet my nickname has always been, Mama Zoe. I'm the most loving. I'm such a mom, but yet I couldn't wrap my head around it. But when I had Sky, I looked at him and my whole world just cracked. I was like, I can't do anything else but look at him all day. I don't know what to do with myself. And I wanted to tattoo myself with his name. I wanted jewelry. I think I had like his name, his birth date, his
Mhm.
87 pieces of jewelry on me, and yours being one of them, or a few, really quite a few of them actually. But that's so interesting that that's how it started. And I'm not a dainty jewelry girl. So it's so interesting that you say that. And even more so, like, I've just been seeing more and more and more of your jewelry. Like, just, it's wild. It's like, it's almost like when you see, when we were younger and you'd see like the punch buggy orange, like you'd see the car while you're driving and you would only
Yep,
see one and then you see
yep,
100.
yep.
Like all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, there's so and so and Jen Fisher Hoops. There she is, like da da da. So tell me, so everyone's stopping you with this chunky necklace with your son's name, and you just go, well, okay, what happens? Like you're like, I'm starting a business, or you're like, this is it?
So literally it was one day we lived in Soho on Green Street, and
The dream, by the way.
it was a great apartment. I should have never sold it. Big mistake. Um, it's now like above Tiffany's. I literally on my bedroom there was like orders everywhere. And Kevin looked at me and he's like, Jen, I think that this is a business. You need to start a website. And that's like literally how it started. And I just was like, one night I was like on set and I think it was like 2 a.m. or something. And I was like, why the fuck am I here? Like, why am I doing this
Sure.
still?
Yeah,
This is
I know.
like, I mean, I'm
Same.
sure you've had that moment, and like you're on set and you're
Yeah.
like, you're looking for craft service and you're like, I need some more coffee. Like, what?
Yes.
I got to get the fuck out of
And
here.
once you have children, it becomes a whole nother
It's
game because you're like,
insane.
you're pulling me away from my baby. So this
Mhm.
better be really fucking worth it.
Yeah, and it literally was just like a natural I was like, "You know what? Let's give it a shot and let's try." And so I started a website and I had like literally like 4 different styles. It was like a circle, a heart, a star, and a moon, and you could choose your chain, and it was like, I was connecting the necklaces. Now that everyone connects the necklaces, we were doing all that stuff back then. Like, we've literally like, we've been around a long time. So,
It's wild.
it started with the fine jewelry, and then the recession hit and well, I did the Vogue CFDA Fashion Fund,
Yes.
which, was fun, interesting experience. Then, I really never wanted my business to have a wholesale model because in jewelry, all these poor jewelers are out on consignment with these stores, for, millions of dollars.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, we're just going to give it back. We don't
And
want it
even
anymore.
more so now.
Oh, it's
Even
terrible.
more so
So
now.
we don't yeah, so I didn't never wanted to wholesale my fine jewelry. So the fine jewelry still to this day is direct to consumer, but the hoops and all the fashion jewelry, that really started because, you totally can understand this. Like, I wanted to be on the cover of Vogue magazine. I wanted
Yeah.
to be on the cover of
Of
magazines, and they're
course.
like, terms, yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start making some other things. And I started making really big, crazy pieces of jewelry that are kind of goth and skulls and lots of bones. And it was just sort of my style at the time. I was always kind of a tomboy, and it just sort of was more of who I was.
Right.
And and then I started just doing, more statement earrings and statement cups because I literally was making bracelets, like these, and
Yep.
they're costing like tens of thousands of dollars to get like a placement. And I was like, there's got to be a cheaper way to do this.
Mhm.
So we started doing it in brass and plating it in gold. And that's when Barney's came to me and they're like, we heard about you from 3 different people in one day. We need you in co-op. And so I started selling those pieces that were plated to Barney's when RIP, so sad.
So
When Barney's
sad.
was Barney's. I know.
Jeffrey's RIP. Barney's RIP.
I know. I keep saying someone needs to restart another, like a multi. I would love to do that.
I think the closest thing is Dover Street, probably, right?
Yeah,
In London.
there's really not a
No,
lot of
no,
places.
no, no.
I feel like it was such, it was like back in the day, it was like Fred Siegel and like I
It's too hard
I
now.
know it's just different now. But that's how the fashion started. And then I started getting covers. We started getting covers and covers and covers from all of this jewelry that wasn't, delicate fine jewelry. And it was more statement. And that's really how it just started to evolve. And, listen, I've always been a marketer. I knew that and we still to this day do not pay celebrities to wear the jewelry at all.
Yeah.
Like for me, the biggest compliment is like, if you see J-Lo, like coming out of the gym in hoops, not being styled, they choose to wear it. And that's the best brand cred you can get because no
That's
one's
the dream. It's part of their daily uniform. I mean, that's the dream, I think, for any designer, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a choice. It's like I'm in my closet or I'm in my jewelry drawer and I'm choosing
Choosing what
this,
to wear.
right? Like that's and these are people who have everything, can have
Yeah, you
everything.
can't pay for that.
No,
You can't pay
you
for
you
that.
literally can't. And I think,
You'll try, but you can't.
yeah, I think we come from a time where authenticity was really a thing. And I think
Yeah.
we still really hope and dream that it is. And it is and it isn't. And it goes and it comes and the pendulum swings and,
Mhm.
all the things. But I think at the end of the day, the life of an entrepreneur is the most, and a very common thread on this podcast is that as successful as the women are, there's just so much pain involved and there's so much challenge and every day is different and you have no idea. And right when you put out one fire, another one comes and the lows are the lowest and the highs are the highest,
Yeah.
honestly. Right. But I think we're all in this insanity together. And I think that, I think another thing that we really have in common that a few of the women that I've had on here share is that you work with your husband.
I do.
And I want to
I
talk
do.
about that because I have worked with my husband now, I think, since 2009. He was an investment banker and a tech entrepreneur and, totally different part of, we do very different things. There are moments where I want to literally kill him. And I want to talk to you about that because, I mean, what was Kevin doing before that he was like, "Hey, let's do this business together," or were you like, "Hey, I need help"? Like how did it
Kevin,
happen? As a CEO, fashion authority, and mom, I know it's the details that truly matter. And when it comes to luxury, every stitch must be perfectly tailored. That's why driving the sleek Genesis GV80 is such a luxurious experience. The SUV's exterior design, including two-line LED headlamps, exudes athletic elegance. When you sit inside the expansive GV80 cabin, you can customize the ambient interior lighting to match your current mood, a feature that makes driving in LA a more relaxed and serene experience. So go ahead, take a close look at the Genesis GV80, and you'll see Lux is in the details.
well, it really was, "Hey, I need help," because
Right.
I
It
am
was too
not I am
much.
finance is not my
Really,
jam.
it's mine. I really am great at it. Sure. The worst thing ever.
I mean, I literally was like, "Help." And he like, thankfully he was sort of coming to terms with his career in finance and he was like, "I'm kind of ready to get out of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to come help you." And then he just never left.
Yeah.
It's not to say that he's going to be here forever,
Yeah.
but he's here now and it's really, he would say that it's easier working with me than I say with him. I
Well,
think it's more
yeah, of
he's like,
course.
"No, you can't do that," or "We can't do this," or, you know, he's such an easygoing guy, and he's, like, such the yin to my yang,
Yeah.
so it's like, that's why it works. I mean, we've
Of
been married
course.
22 years.
Yeah.
It's
So
just
similar. We've
he's
been
such
married
a nice
25.
guy. Yeah. Has he married 25 years?
Together for 32. Married
That's a
25.
long time. I didn't realize you
It's
guys
a
were married that
lifetime. It's
wow.
legitimately a lifetime. We got married at the Rainbow Room 25 years ago.
Oh, that's a dream.
It was a dream. It was like
Oh,
one of the most fun nights ever.
I'm sure.
And now I'm thinking about a bar mitzvah.
I know, that's so we have to talk about that too, because I've done 2. I've done a bar and a pot, so we can talk about that, and I can talk about it offline on what to do and what not. I have done both
Yes.
large scale, so
But okay, so you work with your husband, you live with your husband, and I imagine that 2,000 people ask you on the daily, how do you do that? Because I get asked it almost every day. How do you parent? How do you co CEO? How do you do it together and not want to kill each other?
well,
And
first of all, he's the most amazing father in the entire world. He's a better father than I am a mother, I believe. He's very patient, and we've been a team raising these kids, and then one leaves, and then the other one's going to leave. We're going to be empty nesters in 2 years. It's so crazy. It's
that's
literally
wild.
insane.
That is
It works because we don't work in the same office currently.
right.
So we have a Fifth Avenue flagship, which was originally like our first showroom that turned into a store, and then now we have got our store in Soho. So I'm kind of moving around a lot. He's kind of in meetings. So we when I
That's
at the
helpful.
end of the day when I'm cooking dinner is normally we can talk about the
Yeah.
salt in the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's later. But when I'm cooking dinner is sort of when we catch up.
Right. Same.
So the problem is that you're never off, and you know that it's like 24/7. It's like an email will come through, you'll get a text, we'll get a Slack, and it's
Yep.
like we've got to get on this call and
Yep.
this,
Yep.
like, but it's literally like being it's a family unit team. It's
And wouldn't you rather him than someone that you were questioning?
I that's the thing. I mean, you trust them. So at some point I'm like, well, maybe, but I don't know. We'll see
Yeah.
where it goes. We'll see
A
where it
hundred.
goes.
Same. Same.
We're
Same.
growing and changing, and I
Same.
don't know. I don't want to say not never, but like, he'd probably be happier going and working in like wave pool technology because he surfs and he's invested in something like that. That's opening in like Palm Springs. Like, I think he would much rather be doing that.
Of
So
course.
let's see where we go.
Of course.
But now
100%.
it's the cool thing is it's allowed us, and I'm sure you and Roger have this exact same experience of like being able to do, run your brand and do everything, and to parent
Yes.
together. It really
Yes.
kind of I have to say, that's one thing that I would not take back. And I haven't actually ever talked about this before. I'm just sort of realizing this as I'm talking to you. Like, the experience that we've had in being able to be around more together,
Yes.
parent our kids together,
Yes.
is such a gift.
Yes.
And I hate saying COVID is a gift because it wasn't a gift,
No, no,
but
no. I say exactly the
in
same.
a way of like having my kids home in those years of like being those teenagers where they'd be out running and partying in New York
Yep.
City, like and all of that, and figuring out what to do with with the business during
Yep.
COVID, how to keep
Yep.
that running, which is a whole other story. Like,
Yep.
doing that together, I mean, it's a really amazing bond that as a family unit that your kids get to also learn from.
Yep.
And it's a very good model for them to sort of follow, you know what I mean? Follow, as long
I
as you're not like screaming at each other all the
I
time, which
totally agree. And I think I 100% agree on all accounts. I think like Roger and I always say, like, we've been close with the Masoni family forever, right? And we used to watch their business and just be like, what a beautiful thing that they can like roll as a family, roll as a pack, like divide and conquer. They all have one goal, right? And I think
Mhm.
for us, it was always like, okay, we are going to New York for whatever, CFDA awards, or it was us, right? We would take our kids. We didn't have to have these totally separate lives. And again, pros and cons, right? But I think overall the pros really outweigh the cons. And I think there are those moments where I'm like, oh my God, leave my house, leave my room, leave my everything. And then, but at the same time, it's like, it really allows you the freedom when you have children to really be that model for them and stay together. And that's really nice.
I don't know if you realize this or if people will tell you this enough, but you really can tell how well you guys parent those boys and how much you're
Oh,
around those
thank
kids.
you.
I actually, it's so funny. I saw you one night. I didn't want to interrupt you because you're with your son, and I was having a group dinner, and I saw you with him, and it was just, you were so engaged with him. I just wanted to give you that compliment because
Thank you.
I was like this. That's a real mothering mom.
I
Like, you were
don't
like,
really leave them. I really
it's
don't leave them.
really beautiful to see. And I didn't want to interrupt you, so I didn't. But you're doing an amazing job.
Thank you. It's
Al.
without question the thing I love most, and I
You-
I choose not to leave them unless I have to, you
Yeah,
know?
you can see that.
Um, but
That's
I
apparent.
but I want to give you, well, first of all, thank you. And it's
Welcome.
probably the best compliment you could ever give me. So thank you. And oh, I could see again. And I think this stuff is really hard. I think it's all hard. I think what I want to give you credit for is you're like starting a whole nother business. And I want to talk about that because all of a sudden, one of my really good friends, Allie
Oh.
Verdone, who's one of my
Yes.
most favorite people,
I didn't know that.
she's one of my
I did not
dearest
know that.
friends for 10 years, 12
I
years
didn't know
now.
that.
And
She's amazing.
she's amazing. And she started
She's amazing.
talking about your salts. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I was like, jewelry. She's like, salt. Yes, jewelry, of course, but like salt. And I'm like, talk to
It's
me.
so
So please tell me, because you are this like, you have so much energy. You have so much energy, right? And then all of a sudden I see you posting about cooking and these seasonings, and I'm like, hold on, what just happened? And so please tell me about this and why. Obviously it's a passion, and obviously you love cooking.
It's honestly, Rachel, it's like one of those things like the jewelry. It started because I couldn't find what I wanted, so I made my own. It's literally like how it started. I have Hashimoto's, so I have an autoimmune disorder.
So
So
does my mother. My mother has
well,
that
I
as well.
intermittent fast now. I mean, most women, a lot of people have it.
Yeah.
People should get checked for it.
I get tested. I get tested all
Yeah,
the time.
you need to,
Yeah.
especially hormones and all of that stuff. But that's a whole other thing we can talk about. But I wanted to find something to put on my eggs in the morning because I love poached eggs and I would always eat eggs in the morning.
Right.
And I couldn't find, I literally like scour, like I would go to like, I mean, like when Dina DeLuca was around, I would go to like any like, amazing specialty grocery store. And I was trying to find like the right salt and the right blend of things that I wanted to eat. And there was nothing out there. It was like a rub or like potpourri. And I was like, this is crazy. This is like literally insane. So my father used to ship me in New York lemons and avocados from his trees. And I would, no, for real. I get these USPS boxes and I'd open them up and it's always lemons and avocados. My mom and dad would always do that. And so I would grate the lemon rind because I never wanted to waste anything. And I would dry it and I would use it. I always cooked. My mom sent me to cooking class after school when I went.
Cooking. I love it.
Oh, we should cook.
I love it. I mean, I don't do it because I mean, I cook for my kids, but like I don't cook because
I don't
it's
cook
like another
with,
thing. It's like
but like the recipes are like, they're like stupid. My recipes are like, I don't want to say stupid, but like my recipes are literally like for dummies. Like
Right.
it's like
Right.
one of those things, like it's foolproof. It's the easiest thing. I didn't go to like real cooking school. I went to cooking school in 6th grade. I learned how to make brownies and an orange Julius. Like it's literally, that's my skill set. But for some reason, it really relaxes me. And
Yeah,
I
same.
all day long, like,
Same.
all day.
Same.
And so when I get in the kitchen, I start like chopping an onion. It's like, it's literally like my body relaxes and I feel like a different person. And I used to always say I don't go to therapy, I cook, but now then I started going to therapy because my father died, so I can't really say that anymore. But I'm not currently in therapy. But that was always my motto because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
really worked for me.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it just relaxed me. So anyway, so I had this little blend of salts on the side of my stove. And as one did, you'll remember this on Instagram when everyone was putting their freaking avocado toast on Instagram.
And banana bread.
So I did it on my jewelry account. And literally more people were like, what? First of all, you can poach an egg. That's crazy. And how do you know how to cook? And then second of all, it was before DMs, it was like comments. And it was like, well, what seasoning is that on your eggs? And I was like, oh, it's this stuff that I like, keep on the side of my stove and whatever. And then like, well, where do you buy it? And I was like, wait a minute. And it was like literally more people asking about the food than jewelry on celebrities. So I was like, this is crazy. And so we did a holiday gifting to editors. You know what that feels like. You get a bunch of everybody gets stuff at Christmas and no one wants a chocolate bar with my face or logo. So I was like, you know what? Let's give everybody something healthy that they can eat at their desk when there were editors at desks and in offices. Because I was like, they're stuck in the office late. So we give them an avocado, a lemon, some spicy salt, some chili oil, and some like clean tortilla chips. And I was like, here's, a little thing on how to make your little desk mash.
Right.
So like healthy when you're stuck there at 8:00 writing like a gift guide. So but we did it and I got more like thank you notes from like editor-in-chiefs of magazines and like who of like people like that
wild
ingenious like smart thing to do. And I was like I wasn't trying to be ingenious or smart. I just was sending you guys something that I thought would work. It was just like I thought you would like it. And food really resonates with people. And I had no idea how powerful feeding people is. And, people just want to feel good. And people, what do we do 3 times a day? We eat.
Yeah.
Normally.
But also I think it goes back to the fact that you're a marketer at the end of the day, right?
I'm a hustler.
You're a hustler. You're a marketer and you're a product person. Like at the end of the day. And I think, I've seen a lot of teasers on your social. You're launching something new.
We're launching so many things. And we have my new website, which we've worked on for months, and now it's disappeared into space.
It's coming back. It's coming back. And it's going to come back even better.
I'm like, wait a minute. They're like, we don't know. It's just gone.
I don't even understand what that could even be or mean.
Like,
that sounds mental.
You can't.
Maybe so many people wanted the hoops that it crashed.
It's like when you have like big dev guys and like they're looking at it and they're like, we literally like can't figure it out.
Well, of course, it's like a doctor telling you they've never seen this before.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Great.
Exactly. Thanks.
Great.
Thanks. I know you're like, oh, I won't worry at all.
Right. Right. Right.
That makes me feel so much better. So, no, we're launching. There's a lot of things that are coming. A lot of exciting things. A lot of changes. we needed the website, we needed an evolution of the brand, and we needed to sort of rebrand it. It needed to not just be me anymore.
Right.
At one point we were using models, and then we went to me, and
Because
then
you
it's
convert way higher. That's why. Yeah, of
way
course.
higher.
Of
And
course.
so, but then, you're talking to people, because we don't have any outside investment
Right.
or investors,
Yep.
but we will be taking that and we'll
Yep.
be growing.
Yep.
And, I can only be top of funnel. You know what that's like. So
Right.
it's like,
You
you can't just
do.
be everything, because what if I get hit by a train tomorrow or something? So,
I
you've got to, no one wants to invest in that. So we had to bring in some new characters. And so it looks really beautiful and it's really exciting. It's going to be a new, we haven't scrapped it and restarted in a very long time. And we needed to fix, a
yeah.
lot of things. And, everyone's shopping on their phones now. It's
Yeah.
different.
It's true.
People are on their phones shopping. So we just had to really kind of, turn it around, and it's a much better experience, and new PDP photography, and it's just all of it. It's amazing we even sold anything. We didn't even show charms on model. Like, it's literally mind-boggling that we actually even sold any jewelry over the last 18 years. It's like crazy. I don't know how.
Well, what do you mean you don't know how? I mean, of course, it's like a cult fear. I mean, I think that's the thing, and I think that's the one thing that I really want to touch on is, it's not easy building a brand. You know that. I know that. And it's only through the process of years ago meeting like a lot of, people in suits talking to me about my brand and talking to me about my business, and people who don't even speak the same language. But, the one thing they did say to me that was a big takeaway for me and something I took for granted that I want to commend you for is that, what they said to me in every single meeting was, you've done the hard part. You've actually built the brand. And that is the hardest thing to do. And I don't think I really understood what they meant by that, because it's me, the same as you. Yep. When it's you, you don't realize that you're building the brand because it's you, right? So it's like, this is your business. So like now that, I have all these different extensions and partnerships and licenses and all these different things, it's like, okay, wait, this is exciting. The brand, the name means something to people because I'm so in it. I don't mean something to myself. I'm so over myself, right? So it's like I couldn't be more sick of myself. So it's sort of like, what I want to say is that 20 years later, and working with your husband and doing all these things and launching, your seasonings and launching other categories and launching all these things and relaunching your website. And, it's a lot, and it's really fucking hard, and it's really hard. And as a parent and co-parenting, it's just all a lot. And so I see you, first of all, and second of all, like, I want to really just give you the highest compliment on that, because it's not easy. And I think to even at this point in life, at this stage, at this age in the business, and the business changing and constantly changing your business to fit the business, it's like, it's the thing, right? And I think at the end of the day, it's a hard road that always continues to be hard. And I want to point that out for our listeners, because it's sort of like, they see Jennifer Fisher and they see who you are on your social, and they see, everyone from J-Lo to Taylor Swift to this person, that person wearing your jewelry. And, I think that it's sort of like the brand is so large and the whatever, but you're on the inside of that, right? And it's sort of like, hey, those struggles are real. And we've had everyone from, Candace Nelson, Monique Lullier. I mean, we've had everyone on here talking about the building of the brand and the journey there, right? And so for you now, what? Like, you go to sleep terrified, you wake up terrified, you get excited.
Yeah, I do. And it's lonely too. I think that not enough women support other women in like our position of what we're doing. And it's a very lonely space. People don't realize that. They see us on social, they see us at parties, they see us with famous people, they see us like, and they think that like, but at the end of the day, it's a very lonely road. And it's terrifying daily. And it's really, really fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like, it is constantly being able to pivot on a dime and come back and like, okay,
we're here. We're at the event.
You're at the event, and you're dressed, and you look this way, and you've, and no one knows the terror that you've gone through that day, and then you still show up. Listen, it takes a certain person to be able to do it, and not everyone is built to do what we do, and that's okay. But those of us that do it and are in it, we really love it. We
Yeah.
would not be doing this if we did not live for this
No,
and die for this. Like,
no.
I literally love what I do.
Yep.
I feel so grateful that I am here every day and have the opportunity to be in terror
Yes.
and to like live this
It's true.
dream.
It's true. It's
This
true.
dream.
No, it is. I know
Praying
this dream.
someday it's
It's
gonna pay
wild.
off,
Yes.
and it's like it's really, and in this day and age, it's also I want to touch on, people think it's so easy to start a brand. They think they can just go down wherever and buy some jewelry and put it on Instagram and say that they're a brand now and
Yeah.
whatever. And it's just, and it's different these days. And I think the key, like with you and I, is like really just staying true to like who we really are.
You
Like
have
I'm
to.
also, I'm 52. Like I don't, you know, if you don't like me, that's okay. You know
Right.
what I mean? There's going to
Right.
be 20 other people that do, and
Yes.
it's 20 more that don't. And that's just life.
Yeah.
None of us like the same sneakers. None of us like the same clothes. Like that's totally okay. And I think you have to finally be okay with that
Yeah.
and stop looking around. And then that's when things can really change and be transformative for you. I think when you're kind of like, this is just me,
Yeah.
take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's okay. No hard feelings. Like,
It's like the minute you stop giving a fuck what people think.
that's exactly right.
Right. And then all of a sudden the peace gates open
Yeah,
into
like
your life.
I really like anymore. It's like, okay, I don't, fine, you know,
So
and that's all right. And I'm not mad about it. It doesn't, yeah, sometimes it hurts your feelings, but
sure,
like,
of
I'm
course.
older. Like I've got kids. Like I don't have time for this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like move on.
So what excites you the most? Like what's next? What's next as we look forward? Because right now you're everywhere. You're relaunching. Once your website reappears, what
We've
happens? Tonight when it comes back in all its perfection and
Please
looks
pray that it comes back
beautiful.
tonight. Please pray it comes back tonight. I literally can't.
It's coming back tonight. It's
I
coming
have to go,
back
like,
tonight.
and then take to show. Like I have to go I'm going from this right now to go do a party at my store this afternoon. Like that.
So biggest thing that you're excited about now
Oh,
for the
sorry.
brand.
No, there's, we're going into different things. Listen, there's the food, and I know we didn't talk about my CB2 collaboration that I did with CB2. I did a whole line of furniture and home with them.
Amazing.
Yeah, and
Love
that was
CB2.
literally what we were going into COVID. Like my swirl dish out, I did this black and white kind of gray swirl dish,
Mhm.
and it's like $12. It outsold the white dish on their website. So like that was like a really fun partnership. So I'm working on a cookbook. We just finished the proposal. I didn't realize how it takes so long to do books.
Books are
I had no
it's like
idea.
watching paint
Well,
dry. Each one of my books took a full year and then you promote it.
they're telling me like 2 years. I'm like, I got to get this out. Like, this is crazy.
It's wild.
It's
It's
wild. So
wild. It's
that process, like, there's so many things, and
yep.
it's like,
Yep.
uh,
It's wild.
I know, it's literally like, okay, this next. It's like crazy. So
Yeah.
listen, I'm really happy and grateful that like I get to do all of this stuff because every day is different.
Yeah.
I'd be so bored if I had a different type of job.
Yep.
I I don't know exactly where I'm going, and I feel like that's okay. And that's you know what it's like when you're talking to the suits. They're like, "What's your 5-year plan?"
You, but,
Like,
but
I
I
don't
don't know what my tomorrow freaking
know.
plan is. What are you talking about?
I
Right?
know. And they're like, "What's your 3 to 5 year plan?" I'm like, "Everything changes every day."
Do you
Like
want to talk about the 3 to 6 month plan? Because I can talk to you about that
tomorrow, or
tomorrow.
I know what I'm doing while I'm in LA.
Listen,
Yeah,
it's scary, but you
yeah.
live for it. And babe,
You too,
you're
man.
still standing. And I
I
mean, we're
know.
standing,
Like,
we're doing
just
it.
be a girlfriend. Like,
Just do what you
it's
love.
not easy, and parenting in it, and like everything in it. Like, people think it looks easy. It is the furthest thing from it.
I mean, it's like, no, it's like, what's the opposite of easy? And don't say
we,
difficult because
what
that's
we do,
not even the right word.
what we do.
Yeah. And so I think it's the fear, but it's the excitement. And I think at the end of the day, you're doing it. I'm personally very excited to see all the things. And, I'm a fan and we all love it. And
Thanks,
just keep doing it. And you look
Thanks,
gorgeous.
yeah,
So,
thank you. Well, we were talking about
yeah, well,
we talked about that too.
we're gonna really talk about that.
We can
So
talk about
I need to really talk about
get
that.
your notebook out. Yeah,
Anyway, seriously, huge congratulations.
thank you.
You have so much fucking energy. I love it. I literally love it. I think it's so contagious. I love it. And
Thank you.
I love how much you love
Me too.
women. I love how much
Yeah,
you love women.
I'm really happy that like we're getting to know each other. Like I think you're rad, and
I remember you coming up to me at a party at the Bowery. Do you remember this? You came up to me at a party at the Bowery.
did I introduce myself to you?
You came over to me and you go, Rachel, Jennifer Fisher. I was like, oh my God. And you were like, why aren't we friends? And I was like, I don't know. Like, it was sort of like I was
I
living
do
here.
remember that.
I
I
was-
do remember that
I was
because I was like,
living
I don't know. I think Rachel Zoe doesn't like me, so I'm going to go up and say hi to her.
No. I like everybody. You have to
Yeah.
really fuck me over for me not to like you.
And I was like, hi, I'm gonna go up and say hi. Like, I'm one of those, like, I'm so not shy. I'm like, I go talk to that person. Like, why be shy? What a waste of time.
I love
You know?
it. I love
But
it.
I'm so happy we're connected now. And thank you so much for
Oh my
having me.
God, I'm so happy you came on, and we have so much more to talk about.
So much more. Thank you.
Just keep doing it.
Thanks,
know?
you too, girl.
I'm here for it.
You're killing it. Bye, babe.
It's that time in the show when I answer 2 listener questions. So let's see what we have today. What is your favorite transitional jacket for fall? I live in the Southeast and it's just starting to cool off. I have so many jackets. I am a jacket collector. I think of all the things I have in my collection, I think I have the most jackets and coats because I just love them. And I can make an argument or a story or an excuse to wear any weight coat in any type of weather. But I would say my favorite transitional jacket for fall, I think, is always like a mid-weight leather or suede jacket. I have a few with fringe that I love because I never get sick of wearing fringe. I love a moto jacket. I have one with gold hardware. I have one with silver hardware, in brown, in black. I think jackets like that you can sort of wear on your shoulders, or wear on with just even a simple t-shirt and jeans, I think is always fun. And of course, like a black blazer would be something to just have in anyone's wardrobe to wear all year round with pretty much anything. Dress it up or dress it down, but it's always the best transitional jacket for fall. Okay. Second question. My kids are back to school, and I was wondering if you send your kids to school with a packed lunch or do they eat lunch from school? It's a very funny question, actually, because as siblings are different, my older son, Sky, have not packed lunch for him since he was maybe in first grade. And my younger son, Caius, will only eat my lunch, basically. He has hot lunch maybe 1 or 2 days a week at school. But other than that, I pack him a lunch because he always wants mommy's lunch. And he's very picky. Don't forget to submit your questions for next week's episode. All you have to do is DM us your questions to @ClimbingInHeelsPod on Instagram, and I may just answer your question. I want to thank Jen so much for coming on. I want to thank her for being the most candid, honest. I think she's just a straight shooter. She really just says what she means what she says. She does not hold back on anything, which I just always have so much admiration for because I'm definitely, I think, a little more reserved for sure. And I think, I kind of love that fearlessness about her. I learned so much in this episode. I mean, I cannot believe that she found out she had cancer before she had her kids, had 2 surrogates that didn't work, and then was told not to have children, and then had 2 healthy children naturally, which is just, it kind of shows you manifest, you dream 2 miracle babies, and then really launching a career out of a dream and something she loves. And I think many of us who are these female entrepreneurs, the fight is always real. The challenges are real. The wins are huge. The falls are huge. And you just feel things really deeply. And I think it's 10 times more when you work with your husband because it's your whole life. It's your whole family. The stakes are very high all the time. So I hope you loved this episode as much as I did. And as always, don't forget to write a review wherever you get your podcasts. It really helps us and I love reading them. And while you're at it, follow me on @RachelZoe and @ClimbingInHeelsPod on Instagram for more updates and upcoming guests, episodes, and all things curator. Mwah.